Ladies, it is so great to see you guys. I am so excited about our topic today, and I am petting my pet because we have a great topic that we're going to discuss today. Why? Because we like to get into it. So, did you guys hear about the incident with the Gorilla Glue? The lady that kind of, accidentally kind of slicked her hair down with the gorilla glue. Well, if you have not heard of that incident, you have probably been living on a rock somewhere. But we gonna hit you up. There was a lady, a middle age ish, probably our age group ish lady, who wanted to kind of slick her hair down into a bun, and as a result of I guess running out of the product that she typically uses, she grabbed what ended up being Gorilla Glue and ended up slicking her hair completely down to her scalp. Anyone
But
who
on
has
purpose.
on purpose,
On purpose.
on purpose, that part. And anyone who have used Gorilla Glue before or is familiar with the product, it is basically
Permanent.
It's no
dependable.
joke.
It is
It's
dependable.
industrial strength.
It is you might as well have surgically stick your hair to your scalp because yeah. And so what ended up happening, I think it was over a month before she was able to receive help. She was hoping at first that the hair would kind of just grow up from the scalp and kind of lift the hair up off the scalp enough for her to kind of shave under, but she realized that had she attempted to do that, she would have basically shaved her actual scalp off because it was so attached to her
Mhm.
scalp. She did have some pain as a result of it.
Mm.
And eventually she was able to garner some help from a surgeon here in Beverly Hills who, without
Was a
charge,
brother.
was able to pull together
Yep.
a and do a couple of testing, a couple of chemical trials. He did on I believe he used a mannequin or
Yeah.
a simulated the, I'm sorry, he simulated the experiment before he actually tested it on her. So he got
Mhm.
together different combinations of chemicals. He called up the company to find out what may work and what may not have worked, and then he did some chemical testing. I do believe he has a chemistry background. I believe
Background.
he has
Yep.
Yeah, I think he was like
a
a biochemist or something, right? And he
yes,
created
Yep.
a solvent. A
yes.
solvent that would dissolve.
Go
Yeah.
ahead,
and
brother.
and he did it under sedation so that she would be comfortable, and basically took his time over 4 hours, I believe it was, to gradually get the hair to separate strand by strand. She was absolutely
Pro
so impressed.
bono. Pro
Pro bono,
bono.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
And she was so thrilled and happy to have had it done for free that she then turned around, and the money that was donated to her, she used a portion of it to help his charity, in which he helps people around the world.
That's
So
dope.
so it ended up being just a great story, a great ending, after some, lots of trial and tribulations in between. But why I wanted to talk about this topic is I think, let's talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is really our hair and the pressures of keeping it nice and slick to the point where you would grab a permanent glue solution, whether you did it intentionally or not. Let's say you did not do it intentionally, the fact that you're not paying attention to what you're putting in your hair because of the ultimate goal of keeping your hair straight. I think we need to talk about that. This is Women's History Month, and we're trying to empower women. And I think our hair is one of those areas that's kind of a sensitive topic for us. What did you guys think when you heard about this topic? Heard about this incident? Karen,
Is that the
what does that face mean? Now, Karen, you enjoy a lot of fabulous hairstyles. So what did you think when you heard about her incident?
Y'all don't want me to talk. I don't have no filter, so just rocking right now the natural. So
And it
I
looks
understand
great.
about the slick. I would like that, but I'm gonna let y'all talk because y'all don't want me to talk.
No, we want you
'Cause
to talk, Karen. We want you to
no,
talk. Okay.
no, it's not gonna be good. It's not
What
gonna be
what
good.
would
It's not
be
gonna be a
well?
good outcome.
Well, let me ask you a question about Black women in general, women of color in general, who have curlier, coiled hair, and the pressures of trying to get our hair straight. What do you think about that?
trying to get it straight. I do everything it takes to get it straight. I'm just rocking natural every now and then when I can't get to a salon to get that pressing comb, or what should we call creamy crack on that hair. So yeah.
And there's been a trend away from the formerly known creamy crack. But what
I
pressure
hate
do
that
you
name.
feel now? Is it from your desire to have straight hair, or do you feel some pressure from society to have straighter hair? Or is
Well,
it
I
just
don't feel no
practical?
pressure and stuff. I feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable and pretty when my hair. I feel comfortable and pretty when my hair is kind of like straighter, and it's actually in a nice, neat style. Not saying that when you rock it natural, it's not in a nice, neat style. Everybody rock. There's all kind of ways. I like to see people rock nice, natural styles. It's just it looks good on them than more of me, I say. So that's how I take it.
What do you guys think about what
I
Karen
mean,
just said?
I like I agree with what Karen said. I think you should wear your hair the way you want to. And I think the beauty of our hair is that it can do whatever we want it to do. But I think for this situation, I don't necessarily think it was about straight hair. I think it was just the pressure of hair. And I'm gonna tell you, I was talking about this with my lady who does my eyelashes, and she was judging her. She was talking all this mess. And I said, and that's funny, we're sitting here talking mess about this woman while we're using industrial strength glue to glue eyelashes onto my eyes. And so, like, it's a real fine line, ladies. I mean, come on, how many women have burnt scalps from relaxers? How many times have you burned your head from a hot comb? So it sounds crazy, and I understand why it's crazy. I mean, it's very questionable what she did, but I don't think it's that far off to think we already do crazy things so that we can meet the standard of beauty, whatever that may be. And I think it's a lot. There has always been a lot of pressure on Black women to assimilate. But if you think about the things we already do, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's that far of a cry for her to, I'm giving her grace. I'm giving the situation grace. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's that far of a cry to be like, hey, maybe this will work. How many times have people put Sharpies on their fingernails? I mean, people do things. I don't think she thought it was going to like burn her head off. And everybody's quick to judge, but like I said, I told the lady who was doing my eyelashes, I was like, that's funny you say that, as we use industrial strength glue on my eyes.
Yeah,
Right.
and we use hot industrial wax to pull hair out of our vagina and legs and underarms.
Y'all
and
do.
Honey, I use lasers, okay? Lasers. So I'm just saying it's not so far off.
Yeah.
I just think people it sounds crazy and like that's stupid, blah, 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 but I don't think it's that far of a jump. I don't think it's that much of a leap. I don't.
I mean, it's not no different than when most Caucasian women bleach their hair. Most white women don't have blonde hair and they bleach their hair, and that's why their hair falls out and their hair is all.
Say that one more time.
I said a lot of white women bleach their hair because they want to achieve that blonde status, but most of them are not blonde. And because they bleach their hair so much, that's why a lot of them lose their hair, and their hair is very fragile and very thin.
So if white women are doing things like that to get themselves a particular image, who are we trying to be like? Who's everybody trying to be like? What's the image that we're all trying to achieve?
Blonde, blonde and blue eye. That was the epitome. To the extent I remember in college, I had a psychology professor who said when he was treating patients in the psych institution, you had a series of these Black women who swore up and down that they were, whether it's Princess Diana or whatever, and would walk around with their hair bleach blonde, whatever. It would be 3 or 4 women at a time. It's like, this is just the epitome of beauty. Blonde hair, blue eyed, blue contacts, blonde hair, skin as dark as mine and darker, but this is the epitome of beauty. Why? Who knows?
Colonialism. Colonialism. They put that in us for generations and generations and generations.
But in this case, though, we're talking about it's not just in us, it's in them too. Because look, if you're a brunette, you're still trying to dye to be blonde. Like, why particularly blonde? A lot more of you may be brunette, but the blonde look, I guess that's Scandinavian or whatever, that seems to have been, epitome of where human beings should be or whatever, the foolishness.
I think we're all trying to ascribe to some unattainable standard of beauty. That's just all of us. But I think for me, Black dark skinned women in particular with like even 4C hair. I feel like every time we gain a little ground with ourselves and somebody comes back and tell us what isn't. So when a lot of Black women stop relaxing their hair, they started going natural. They're like 4-1, which is super straight, and then 4C is at the bottom. So as soon as you try to take back and own your beauty, there's some sort of standard put on that, and dark skin or brown skinned women aren't at the top of that pyramid. Even with makeup, it's always at the, it's always at the bottom. And for my particular story, my mom gave me you got to be young, you got to be very careful what you tell your kids, verbally, physically, or just modeling. My mom gave me Jerry curl when I was 5, because she said I have still to this day, I have super thick hair, but my hair only grows in the top, which is why I wear tapered sides for a long period of time, because my hair doesn't grow in on the sides here. It doesn't grow in the back. So you have to, even though she didn't say anything, but you give a 5-year-old a relaxer or a Jerry curl, you're saying a whole heck of a lot. So you have to be very, very careful with the images that you bestow upon your children, giving your kids weave at young ages. And I remember I did that to my sister. Like I gave her like a ponytail. She was like super young. And I'm like, the same thing my mom did to me is the thing I did to my sister, because that's what I thought everybody wanted to be or look like. And those were the types of girls that got attention. So for a while I wore weaves and perm my hair. But when I decided to return to my natural roots, that was a rude awakening. It took a lot of work to be able. When you see yourself, okay, just think about it. Like when you lose weight, the world sees you thin, but you still see this person that you've never seen before. And it takes a lot to get accustomed to that new you. Like you may have a new you, but that fear of the old you is still there.
Yeah.
Or hasn't caught up to the new you, huh? It's like
exactly. So when I decided to go natural, I'm like, okay, so I got big lips, wide nose, dark skin, and I'm about to go natural with a fro, and it's not straight. My roots is deep in Africa. Okay, so it's deep. And it was hard for me to see that. It was really hard, although I loved it and it took a while to accept it. It was hard because I hadn't seen that person in forever. I had never been in there. I had no recollection of who that person was.
Chastity, was it hard to see her because you hadn't identified with her? Was it because you had been avoiding her for so long because of what societal standards state that beauty is supposed to be for women of color?
All of the above, yeah.
And it's interesting, right? Because historically or genetically, it's believed that, that the human race originated in Africa, which would mean that everything else is a mutation. So Chastity, with her beautiful lips and her beautiful hair and her skin tone, is the least mutated. You know what I mean? Like she's the purest version, the purer version of what is supposed to be the human race.
And then you have me on the other end of the spectrum, who is the lightest, who has straight hair, and I wanted the opposite. I wanted the opposite. So I'm the lightest in my family. My sister, my mother, they're all very more tan, brown skin. They all have curly, wavy hair, and I got the lightest straight hair. And I remember as a child, I would always tell my aunties and my mom, why didn't I come out brown like you? Why isn't my hair curly like yours? Why don't I look like you girls? And they're always like, well, because you look like your dad, you look like your Mexican dad.
And did you experience any the opposite ends? Like, did you experience people commenting on your beauty more than they would your intelligence and things like that? Like, did you experience that end of the spectrum?
Not with my mom, because my mom would actually say, go sit in the sun, you're pale. That's what my mom. That was my mother.
I love it, because at the end of the day,
go get some sun, you're pale. I can see your veins, she would say. Yeah, I mean, in school, yeah. I remember a few jobs after high school. Yeah, I realized that people were hiring me because of my looks and not because of my intelligence. I've had men that dated me that have made comments that are very disparaging, like, oh, I only like light skinned girls, or I only like girls that look like this or look like that. And I would always feel so like used or like
Mhm.
tokenized, like, oh, so you're just dating me because you have a
Yes,
standard of beauty of what you think
yes,
like,
yes.
I would get really angry and I'd be like, so you don't like your mom? Your mom's dark. You don't
Yeah.
like your cousins. You don't like your sister. Like, oh, I would just go in on them. So when I got older and I realized that men were only dating me because they were fetishing me, then I wouldn't date them. If I knew they were kind of being colorist, I would be like, no, like, I don't talk to guys that only want to date light skinned girls with pretty hair or whatever, because that's like low key racist and it's low key like self hatred.
It's not low key
So,
at all.
but for them, they have they just don't
Right.
have that awareness because they've been so
Right.
conditioned.
Now
They've
that's
been so
interesting.
conditioned to
That's
pursue-
interesting. So you have men that have the fetish for the lighter skin, the more stereotypical sort of beauty, and then Chastity also spoke to us recently on I was about to say podcast, on another episode where she talked about men who fantasize about being with the traditional
Yes,
Swiss Black
yes,
woman. So it's just really, really interesting that we are running to people who have fetishes on both ends. And I remember, Olivia, you had mentioned also this awakening that you experienced in college, as a result of the attention you were getting from that you were criticized by others saying that, oh, you're only, I won't put words in your mouth. Somebody
yeah, yeah,
have you share that.
yeah. Because I was light skinned. It was something like Eunice said. I remember guys saying the same thing. Oh, I like light skinned girls like you. I mean, first of all, I'm not light skinned. Let's get that straight. Or they would get really.
You get the memo.
About me speaking Spanish. It was like, ooh, call me papi and stuff like that. I was like, first of all, I'm Mexican. Mexicans don't say that. That's the Caribbeaners. That's Puerto Ricans, and then we don't do it like that. But I remember growing up.
For saying that, y'all don't say poppy.
Not like that. We don't use
No.
it. Yeah, to call your father papi and stuff, but we don't use it like, hey mommy,
Like-
or hey
like
papi,
sexual.
You don't use it like in New York. I
Like
poppy.
New York.
No.
No. And we also like
Poppy.
also-
We're so New York. We so
we
East
also
Coast.
don't use it. No,
Yeah,
we
but
also-
I mean, she's true because I'm half Mexican. My mother's from Honduras, Belize, and in Honduras, Belize, we do say mommy and papi. Like we call
Yeah,
the little girls like mommy and
Yeah,
papi.
yeah,
Like, papi, like,
mama, all of it.
But do
Yeah.
you guys? But do you guys? Does South Americans use it in terms of?
I'm Central American.
I'm sorry, Central American. Sorry. Do you guys use it in terms of sexualizing?
Like endearment. You can, like, if you're
Yeah.
talking to your
Because
man or your
the East Coast Hispanics, my folks on the East Coast, my Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
my Dominicana. Listen,
The
yeah,
Neorican, you
mommy
wanna
means
call them.
like mommy is
Yeah.
sexualized. Like, come here, baby.
Yeah.
It's like baby.
Yeah.
It's equivalent to
Yeah,
like baby.
it's a term of endearment, right? My husband,
Yes,
I always
it
tell him,
really is.
I'm like, I'm married the only Dominican who doesn't call me mommy. I was like, the whole point of marrying a Dominican was for you to be like, I'm mommy. He only says it to my daughter. He'll be like, come here, mommy. I'm like, you're supposed to call me that. I wanted you to do that. So back to hair though, I was gonna say like how Eunice was saying how she noticed her hair was different. Growing up, I had a lot of complexes, not because I was Black and my mother wasn't. The skin color wasn't the thing for me. It was the hair. It was that my mom and my tias and my cousins and all the women that I grew up around seeing every day. I would see my Black side of the family every other summer because they were all in North Carolina. But they were these women that I thought were absolutely gorgeous, and I looked nothing like them. And then my hair didn't do what theirs did. And so I remember growing up feeling like my hair was always this effort to do, right? They didn't have to do anything in their hair. They could wake up in the morning and they look fly, whatever, throw some water on it or whatever. But everybody was always like, what are we going to do with Oli's hair? Who's going to learn how to do Oli's hair? My mom had me looking bald like my brother until I was about 4 because she didn't know what to do with my hair.
wow.
So she just kept it short. Yeah. And so then she went to North Carolina and my aunts chewed her out. They're like, why does that baby look like a boy? You need to know how to do her hair, blah, 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 blah. But she didn't understand culturally. So then I had my daughter and I didn't do nothing to her hair until she was like 3. Because I was rebelling. I was like, ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do with my baby's hair. She's gonna be natural. I'm not pulling on her scalp. I'm not doing nothing. Why? Because of the standards of beauty. And now I look back and I'm like, Jesus, I should have done her hair. She looked crazy.
But she's your baby though.
I mean, I agree. I agree with I agree with
well.
Olivia too. My daughter, my daughter is West African. Her father's West African, and her hair is coily and it's really curly and it's it tangles quickly. And I've learned. Well, first of all, I went to beauty school in high school, so all of my homegirls that I grew up with were all African American, and I learned how to braid really young. So I was in beauty school at the time. I was high school, and I was already like hustling braiding people's hair in school because I grew up with a bunch of girls that did hair. So when I knew I was going to have a daughter that's going to be half Black, I had no issue. I was actually looking forward to being able to style her hair. And as soon as she got old enough, I started braiding her hair, putting twists in her hair, putting cornrows in her hair. And the thing with her is like she's tender-headed. So, and I have a heavy hand. So that dilemma came into mind too, like how Olivia said, like, do I just let her be natural? I'm not gonna comb it. I'm just gonna put a little water, leave-in conditioner. But then, her hair would get really tangled, and she would go to daycare, and then she would come back with like flowers and all kinds of stuff in her hair, and I would be like, but she's rocking her fro, right? I'm like letting her be herself. Telling the people at the daycare, like, don't put nothing in her hair. Don't put her hair in a ponytail. Because the lady would call me, do you want me to put her hair in a ponytail? No, leave her hair alone. It's fine. Don't touch it.
How do your daughters feel about their hair?
I embrace, I tell her every day to embrace it. I think she's proud of her hair. She loves her hair. In my opinion, from what I see my daughter do, I always speak positively about her hair. And I always tell her to be proud of her hair. I don't know. That's just me. I think she's proud. I would hope she's proud.
Daniela has locks like I do because, so here's the other thing about me is that me and my hair, we've had an evolving relationship and I've never been good with my hands. I could take braids down like ain't nobody's business, but I can't part nobody's hair. I mean, it's a struggle. I also didn't want her to struggle like I did. So I was like, okay, I can recognize that I don't have the skills and also don't have the patience. It's just not a passion of mine, but I also don't want her walking around looking crazy because the world can be cruel. So I locked her hair so it could be like mine. Because I was like, listen, and then when she gets older, she doesn't like it, she can do whatever she wants. It'll be a healthy style.
Having locked hair, because it's something to have naturally coily hair. But locked hair, I think, also has its own experiences. So how does she
It does.
how does she
Dr.
Trish, you want to share on that too?
Well, let Olivia finish. I'll jump in after that.
I was just gonna say, I think it's not a thing for her because she looks like her mom. Her mom has locks, so I think for her it's like it's just what we do.
I look like mommy.
So I have a pretty different experience growing up in the Caribbean, and the way that I was raised in the island. So I came here for high school. I was about 10 or 11, but growing up in the Caribbean, from where I was and how my mom raised me, you did not get a perm until you were out of high school. So your perm was when you're going to be a working woman in the working world. Beyond that, you were a kid and you were gonna get your hair braided and you were gonna get your hair plait and all that was gonna be done. So I learned very early on how to not just only plait, like have my mom plait my hair, but I learned to plait my hair. So I remember when I moved to New York and I had to go to school for freshman, like my freshman year, and I'm going to school for the first day. And I sat down and I planned out my hairstyle. And I know who was talking about, Olivia, you talking about don't know how to part? Girl, I got good. I could part straight across all the back. It'd be one row. I could do my own hair, like nobody's business. And I sat there and I got my hair all twisted and it was all like single braids. And I was so happy moving it around. Of course, I went into a school that was heavily Spanish. So whether Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. And so now I get introduced to all these girls with all this long extra stuff. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. That's nice. But it didn't faze me because in my mind, it was like, no, if I can do that, but I'll do it later. That did not last when I came here, the pressure of, oh yeah, everybody else around has it. So eventually I got a perm and I did the perm thing for a while. And then I went to the short perm. So I was rocking a little Halle Berry's by the time I graduate from high school or whatever the case may be. But there's one thing about me that I realize I can be quite rebellious and I find any way that I can to be a little bit rebellious. So like Tasca was saying, the whole locks thing, especially in the Caribbean, it has an extreme different connotation growing up. It's changing a bit now.
It's changing now.
And so what I would tell people is, I was a pretty dread. Don't, I'm a pretty dread. I'm not Nazi dread. Not Rastafarian.
Very different connotation.
It's very different. And I eventually, I shaved my head bald in college and was rocking. When I say shave, we're talking about clippers, took it off,
Mhm.
bald.
Wow.
I rocked that for a little while. I was also depressed as all hell, but we'll talk about that later. And then started growing it back and decided to lock it. And I had my hair locked for about 12 years. But I have a very love-hate relationship with hair because I reject the fact that they say a hair is a woman's beauty. Screw it, I'm beautiful.
Mhm.
I'm beautiful. My hair doesn't tell you anything about me. So if I feel like it tomorrow, I will shave my head again.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I went from having
Yes.
long locks, and when I say long locks, I'm talking about the type that would make me be able to walk around like Eve, covering the
Wow.
boobs, to
Yeah.
cutting it down,
Mhm.
to going back to a perm,
Mhm.
to going back to it short, to rocking a Caesar fade, and now I'm back to locks again.
But Dr. Trish,
Yes.
you can rock a lot of different styles. You really can. But I want to touch on something you said, and I'm not going to jump over it because you guys know I hear everything. So you said there was a connection between your hair and your mental health at the time. And I noticed that this is women in general, whether we are um, breaking up from a relationship. Yes, honey. Somebody pisses off.
Yeah, I cut off all my hair off after I ended a
What is
relationship a
that
year and a half ago.
connection? Y'all mental health providers, help us out. Why?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I agree with Dr. T. When I finally went super short about a year and a half ago, it's because my relationship was coming to an end, and I felt it, and I felt very lost, and I just felt all these emotions,
What
and I
is
just
it?
felt like
We gotta go cut it off like y'all.
I just didn't want. I didn't want.
It's
I just-
cleansing, and
Yeah,
that's
I just
it's
didn't
very-
want hair.
yeah.
You
it
wanted
can
a new
be very
person?
cleansing.
You
It's
wanted to see a new person?
Yeah, I just want to see something different. I didn't want to see.
Yeah, it's
just-
cleansing. It's a new start. It's a like literally, if you can look at yourself completely as bald, because I went bald as well, Dr. Job, and I was like, damn, I'm a bad motherfucker with this haircut like
What?
that.
You
That
couldn't
took a
tell
certain
me
level of
nothing.
confidence to rock that. You know what I mean?
You
I
couldn't
was
tell
like, I
me
was
nothing.
23,
Bless
and I
y'all
was just like,
head people.
yeah, but but cutting your hair is like a new start. You can start fresh. You can start anew. That's why everybody says they do the big chop. It's like,
Right.
okay, I'm getting down to the roots of
Right.
whatever may be, and you can just start new.
But it's more than just the big chop because there are a couple of celebs who have public breakups and divorces and all that stuff. And it's changing into the blonde hair, changing to the red hair. I'm not gonna call people out, but it's not just cutting and shaving your head. It's all these
It's a whole new
are those
change.
extensions of cleansing. Is that what you're saying? Mental
It's
health.
the new. I think it's the new, the rebirth, right?
Yeah.
So it's the
And-
rebirth. It's
and
like
you-
looking for something brand new. So
You
they
could be
change
going
up
through a
however they can.
You could be going through a depressive episode, like Dr. T said. You could be feeling depressed. I was feeling hella depressed, hella anxious, and I just maybe I was acting impulsively, and I just literally went during lunch. During lunch, I went to a hair salon 2 blocks from my clinic. This is as a provider, and I went and I chopped my hair off during lunch, and I came back to the clinic, and my coach was like, "But you had hair this morning. What just happened?"
And the thing is, the hair is something that you can control. So when you
Right.
feel like there is some sort of loss of control and you want to regain some
Right.
kind of control, so that is one thing. One, it's a guarantee it's
Ding
going to
ding
grow
ding
back.
ding. That's it right there.
You know what I
Control.
mean? It's a guarantee it's going to grow back. However, also a guarantee. It's the one thing that you can control.
Right.
And so when people feel like I lost, they reach for something that is easily attainable, that they can control, that they can make feel better about themselves. Because once it's gone, it's like, oh shit, I got to deal with this.
Yeah.
So it could be either way. It could be like a manic, impulsive decision, or it could be cleansing, or it could be very just it is what it is. So it could
I
go,
was
it could run
straight
the
up
gamut.
rebellious.
Yeah, I wasn't
I would
manic
say-
though. Let's just clarify. I was not manic. I was just
No,
a little
I didn't say
impulsive.
that. I said it could be a few
No,
of
no,
these
no, 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 no,
things.
no, no. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying. No, like I
Yeah.
did it because I think it's like what you said. I wanted to control for something, and everything around me was falling
Yeah.
apart, and I had no control what was happening around my relationship,
Mhm.
my situation. That my hair was something that, like you said, if I chopped it off, oh well, it's just hair. Who cares?
Mhm.
Now let me ask you guys the other end of the question. Does anyone have any hair insecurities?
Yes.
I do it.
I do too.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I do.
Mine is my little bald spot ish thing, aging thing over there. Another one somewhere back here. What are y'all insecurities?
My agent thing is somewhere too.
Um, most of you don't know me, but Dr. Moore does know me and knew what my hair looked like. And the fact that this is a pale comparison to the luscious locks that I had before. It-
Well,
they
yours
were
is beautiful.
quite
It's-
beautiful.
but your
And-
locks before were like bam, like people were.
They were, I mean, I used to probably try to act like I was a cotton picking mermaid. I swear to y'all. I would dip into the water and come up and shake those suckers out. I was all dramatic because you could not tell me that I was not cute. My hair was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The
I have a
locks came
question about the
after
locks.
the cutting of the hair though. And I did cut them off and style them differently, whatever the case may be. But I know for me, where hair is concerned, yes, that time I cut it, I was depressed and I was mad that my mom kept telling me to do my hair. She kept telling me to do my hair, do something with your hair. And I was like, fine. So I told my brother, cut it. And he just took the clippers and took it off. So it was just kind of like, and then the thing about it after that, like whenever I would go out anywhere, I had this, we'll just call it the RBF in New York City, but it was real like serious. And so standing on the streets on Utica Avenue outside of our church, and I'm in a black suit with high heels and totally bald, and everybody's walking by like this. And I just had this look like, what? Talk to me now.
The very New York look. So how do you guys deal with your insecurities? How do you deal with your hair insecurities? I put a wrap on my
Get it
hair.
done. I go get my hair done, like I said, or I throw a wig on. I have about like 3 or 4, maybe 5 wigs. They all got names, you know. Yeah, I throw them on.
I embrace mine, like for the most part, because I do have really, really thick hair. It's a lot of damn work. So typically I'm up in braids or I'll do an install or something, but I purposely try not to get lost in my hair. So when I take a break from braids or anything like that, I take my hair out and make sure that I can still see myself, that I haven't lost and I can recognize who I am. And then I walk out with it and like, because Tass, Nina did my hair tapered sides. The top is like highlighted and working on my curl pattern and there's, all of that. So I try to embrace it and I do check-ins with myself of making sure that I take it down, wear it out, and just not lose myself in my hair.
I hear you. I hear you. I still do feel that there are pressures, maybe not necessarily to be straight, but to be this level of perfection now. Because everybody
That's
here,
it.
I mean, is it just me on IG? You scroll up like, why is everybody's strands like perfectly like
Coiled and
coiled?
moisturized, bouncing.
Or not, purchased or not, but just like coiled and like everybody stepped out of beauty salon like just 5 minutes ago before the picture that they posted. It's just I can't keep up with that. Like sometimes
No.
I'm a little raggedy.
That
that is where I think it is. I think for me, my rebellion comes where I refuse to accept whatever's trying to be put on me as to how I should look. I'm not going to accept it. If I want to be bald, I'm going to be bald. And one of the reasons why I like wearing locks is because, yes, if I want to be cute and pretty and neat and well put together, I can style my locks that way. If I want to be rough and scruff and look like a bonganati, I can do it that way too, right? It works either which way. So for me, my hair is still my state of rebellion, my state of this is me, no matter how it is, whether I'm up, whether I'm down, whether it's styled all pretty or whether it's looking rough, it's still me. And you're going to take it or you're going to leave it.
Yeah.
And I agree with Dr. T because for Latinos, I don't know, I can't speak, I'm Latina, but for us, it's like having long hair is like our glory. Like we've been raised that we're supposed to have long, luscious hair and you're supposed to wear it because it's your crown. And I remember since I was very young, I would chop it off. I always keep like a bob or like at my shoulders. I never wanted long hair. So my dad always, when I was young, he would tell me, why do you always cut your hair off? why do you always go to the salon and tell him to cut it short? Why don't you let it grow out? Let it grow out. You have pretty hair. And I think it was a form of rebellion against my father, where I didn't want to meet his standard of what he thought was beautiful. Why isn't short hair beautiful in a woman? Why do you need to have long hair?
It's so cute.
That's interesting.
It is.
Because my dad is still hung up on the fact that I permed my hair with baby perm, and it didn't last. My hair couldn't handle baby perm, y'all. 5 minutes of baby perm, I was burning. But when I started to perm my hair literally fell out. Literally fell out. My hair used to be just absolutely thick and gorgeous. And my dad still, he talks about it like he mourns it. Like, and so I wonder about, men of color and their connection to long hair. Like, do you guys think men of color in general have this connection to long hair?
Yeah.
No, I
I
don't
mean,
think so. My husband, he likes it because I didn't cut my hair off by knowing him from the time I know him to now. I didn't cut off my hair like 3 times. I went all bald before. I done went with short. Half of this is all off, and then we just see the top, like Chastity. I didn't had all kind of short hairstyles and everything, and he just liked me in my natural state. Natural state. He don't even like this makeup that I do have a little on. So, yeah.
I hear
I
you.
think there's some guys that are sticking to that more stereotypical, more traditional, and I'll say it from my end of the woods. You have like that stereotypical Caribbean man who wants that particular look. So I have friends that still have that desire for that look
Now,
with
look,
their
I was gonna say real
spouses.
quickly, our midwife, you were gonna say something real quickly about this. Shut us down.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I feel like my locks have given me freedom. I love long hair. I've never had it super long. When I wore braids, I loved it. I love being able to like do hair, and I'm not fancy with my hair, so but just putting in a ponytail, I feel like I did something. I can't wait till they're so long that I could do it in a nice bun. So I like them. In my experience, when men do like my hair too much, then I cut it off. I do the same thing, but my insecurities come from my scalp. I have a lot of scalp issues. It flakes a lot. I have all kinds of issues with my scalp. So it's both.
We love that you are a part of our community. We want you to continue to be a part of our community. So go ahead and do what? Like the videos, hit notification, and subscribe. We appreciate you guys.